handsome liberal. Gonna get my TikTok side of the owl up and running because I want to ask a question today that I'm flabbergasted. We did a live on this yesterday. Now I understand this is not likely by any stretch of the imagination for an audience that leans right, and I make it clear I enjoy speaking to primarily a right wing audience. I do have a lot of left wingers as well, but I lean left, and a large portion of my audience leans right. I don't have any issue with that. But today I want to talk to you about something because we did a live on this yesterday, and I don't think I've ever done or discussed a subject back to back twice. I don't think I've ever done that. And I see in the comments, Robin said, is this live right now? Yes, it is live right now. I don't think I've ever discussed a subject back to back. But in my humble opinion, I want you guys to let me know how you feel. If you think I'm full of shit, feel free to state that. I hate to come like that this early in the morning, but I'm in shock. I am literally in shock to have to cover this topic yet again. We talked yesterday. I'll give you the simple details about this. And it was somewhat outrageous yesterday. But it's worse today. Remember the old infomercials of the 1990s, but wait, there's more? This is an example of, but wait, there is more. And I don't understand this. I just don't. But I want to talk to you folks, particularly my beloved MAGA, and also traditional Republicans. Those are the primary folks I want to target today. But, I always say liberals are welcome as well. And understand, as controversial as this shit is, I'm not going to block or ban anyone because you have a difference of opinion with yours truly. So whether you're in the comments, whether you're in the box, you can disagree with me all day, and I'm not going to censor or limit your opinion or your time because I do believe in free speech, and I absolutely believe your opinion is just as valuable as mine. Nevertheless, we talked about Kate Cox. Now, I know folks believe this is a losing subject. They don't want to talk about it, particularly those on the right. JP Farms, thank you for the hat and mustache. Yay ha! But I don't get this. We talked about Kate Cox, the 31-year-old that was having a child that had a 95% chance of not living after being out the womb. Her suing the state of Texas to allow her to terminate the pregnancy, them fighting her the entire way, her finally winning in court and being allowed to terminate this pregnancy that was putting her life in danger. Well, news has come out that the state of Texas, even though she won, even though the child was not going to survive, even though her life was in danger according to her doctor, she was forced to carry this kid, the state of Texas fought the fact that she won in court, took it to the Supreme Court, and they have temporarily halted her right to terminate the pregnancy. Are they trying to kill this woman? What the hell is going on, to quote the Hangover movies? I want to ask you folks, particularly those on the right, do you support this? I mean, her physician stated the child has trisomy or something like that. It's a chromosome disorder. 95% chance the fetus will not live or will be born stillborn. And it puts her future sterility in jeopardy and her life. But yet the state of Texas they have a strict abortion law. That's fine. I know a lot of you folks on the right agree with being pro-life. But this woman is facing death. She fought in court to have a temporary restraining order put on the Texas abortion law so she could terminate this dangerous pregnancy. They fought her in court the entire time not to allow her to do this. She prevailed and won. The judge has given her an out. Not only did the Attorney General, Ken Paxton of Texas, make all sorts of threats when she won, telling hospitals and medical professionals that the statute of limitations for violating Texas abortion law will extend long beyond the judge's order. So basically, the Attorney General is making it clear, even if you abort this kid, according to the judge's orders, our statute of limitations on murder is unlimited. We can still get your ass 10, 15, 20 years later. And now they went to the Supreme Court and they have prevailed against this woman. Are they trying to kill her? That's what I'm asking. I don't understand this. I want to talk to some folks on the right. Tell me where you think this is legitimate. I mean, I understand a lot of people on the right are deeply Christian based. There's nothing wrong with that. But I want to hear somebody tell me where they think this is a good idea. We'll go straight to American Lover. Women need to keep fighting and never stop fighting. Yeah. American Lover, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Morning to you too, sir.
Hey.
Well, I am very pro-life, right?
Okay.
But I totally believe that there are, I'm not going to say rare because stuff like this does happen quite a bit. There are instances like this where the mother's life is in danger and the baby will not survive, I believe that it's totally okay. And at that point, even if the baby could survive, it's the parent's choice, like on that matter. You know what I mean? Of course, there are instances where a C-section could happen.
So let me interrupt you just for clarity. You're pro-life. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm assuming you're conservative. Do you support President Trump for 2024?
Unless somebody better steps into the ring, and from what I have seen, there is nobody right now that is better. And the fact that both sides of government went against him when he ran and throughout his presidency.
Well, and I'm not here to argue with you. There's nothing wrong with supporting Trump. There are legitimate reasons to support both sides. So I'm not criticizing who you support. But what I want to ask, But what I do want to ask, since you do support folks on the right, how do you respond to folks that will look at what Texas is doing and state that Republicans do not care about women? How do you respond to that with a case like this actually on the books?
Oh, I'd say that it's wrong that, we do care about women, and this is one person that has, I guess not one, because the Supreme Court's doing it too.
Well, not only is it not one,
ignorant.
Yeah, but not only is it not one, keep in mind what you said earlier in the conversation. This actually happens a fair bit. So it's not just one. We can talk about the woman in Louisiana. We can talk about the kid in Ohio. It actually happens to some degree with a little bit of commonality. So, I mean, the argument that Republicans do not care about women, what is the defense to say that they do?
Well, I'm pretty much a Republican, and I extremely care for women. I am against the communities that try to pretend to be them and demean them in ways of taking advantage of them. I am against. Okay, so there's two different extremes on both sides, right? There's the people that will take advantage of the abortion rights because they just don't want children and they want to go do whatever they want.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm not disagreeing with it in that. But when we look at horrible situations like this, we hear folks on your side of the aisle that are pissed off because you mentioned women that try to be women. When a biological male wants to play for a female sports team, they go apeshit about that. We got a case here where a woman could die. Where is the Republican outrage on this? This is not erasing some teenage girl's record in school by a biologically born male. This is a mom that could die.
Well, I know. And I'm saying I am supporting women throughout all of that. You see what I'm saying?
Are you speaking?
I just support that one.
Fair enough, but are you?
I can't speak for the majority of everybody because I am not the majority of everybody in the Republican side or the MAGA side. I can say that there are people in government that will listen to so many people and follow those people, and they will go by their own opinions. And a lot of them, like the Republicans that are seeing it my way, they probably aren't hearing about this stuff or speaking up about it.
And that's a problem. That's a problem on both sides.
Yes.
Not only is it a problem that they're not hearing about it, because they are hearing about transgender folks playing for the wrong team. So that means your media is also feeding you a line of bullshit. And then when you follow up by saying they're not speaking out about it, that also looks bad because it makes it look like they don't give a damn. I'll give you the last word, though.
Well, the majority of most media is biased on both sides.
Right. But we only talk about the liberal.
A legitimate one, so people have stopped listening to the legitimate media because they don't know what to believe. So they go to social media, and stuff like this hasn't been portrayed on social media that much.
Yeah.
See, if I would have heard about it and I lived in Texas, I would have contacted my state and local representatives. I would have contacted my governor's office. I would have contacted, my senators.
You still can do that. I'm just going to say you still can do that even if you live outside of Texas, because even you admit this is bullshit. I got to move it on, though, American. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, no problem. You have a good day, sir.
Absolutely a pleasure. Come on back anytime. What the hell? And I want to point out something. And I do appreciate my last caller, even though he leans right, even though he's MAGA, which is I don't have any issue with that. I prefer talking to MAGA. You know how this program works. However, I do think that more folks on the right need to have a more elevated voice. We know how you feel about CRT. We know how you feel about LGBT people playing for the wrong team. We don't hear you saying shit on this. And this is not the first case. So for folks who are suggesting, well, it's new, it just happened. Damn it, it has not just happened. I just gave you a couple other cases, and we know there are more cases that are not making the media. But in this case here, this almost seems like you're coming out and saying, I don't care if this woman dies in the process. I literally do not care if she dies. I am not focused on making sure this child is brought to term, that if she dies in the process, quoting the guy who stood over Drago in Rocky IV, if she dies, she dies. What the hell is that? Go into the box. I don't see how anybody would not be outraged about this. This just sounds sloppy, to say the least. But we'll keep it going. I don't know what else to say. William, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. And by the way, I'm going to add this on before William. Hang on a second, William. But I will say this. I'm also hearing that you cannot get a C-section in the state of Texas without great difficulty, where you got to prove it is a major emergency. I don't know if that's true or not, but I am hearing folks are suggesting that you can't even get a C-section, a cesarean, without some major medical intervention. William, good afternoon, or good morning.
Hi, Tim.
Hey.
Hi, Tim.
How do you feel about this?
Well, I only caught about the last maybe 30% of what you had to say, but obviously this is a woman in Texas that pregnant, and they determined that if she were to have the child, then more than likely she would die, correct?
Well, let me give it to you quick, because it's not more than likely she would die. There's the child has trisomy or some type of chromosome disorder, so there's a 95% chance the fetus will either be a stillborn or will die shortly after birth. It also puts her future sterility in jeopardy if she has the child, and yes, she could die continuing on with this. I don't think it's a 95% chance of her dying, but that is on the table. Now, she fought and won to get a temporary restraining order put on the Texas abortion law so that a judge actually ruled she could terminate this dangerous pregnancy. Once she won, the attorney general down there in Texas, Ken Paxton, started threatening any doctor, any nurse, any Uber driver, the husband, anybody who took her to have an abortion, and stated that our statute of limitations go long after anything this judge did. So if you help her, if you perform the abortion, we can get you 10, 15 years later for murder. Anyhow, now, which is why I'm on here so damn excited and pissed off, the Supreme Court, they continued fighting this woman, took it to the Supreme Court, and now the Supreme Court has halted her right to have an abortion. How do you feel about it?
In a case like that, I think it's totally ridiculous. They should, once they have made that clear that this is going to harm the fetus, harm the woman, potentially one or both of them, being unalive, then that should, at that particular point in time, as far as I'm concerned, my opinion, it should be left up to her and her husband to make that decision, what they want to do and what kind of, if they want to take that chance or if they do not want to take the chance, and the government getting involved in that particular point, I think is ridiculous.
So let me make sure I get clarity, just like with the last caller. Do you consider yourself Democrat, Republican, MAGA, progressive? Where are you on the scale?
I would say that I don't really label myself in any one of those categories, but I am very conservative in my political views. Probably a little bit more moderate conservative, but I am conservative.
Okay. How do you feel knowing that when you cast your ballot in 2024, you're voting likely, I'm just speculating, but based on what I'm seeing and the lack of outrage, you're likely voting for more of this?
Well, that's one of those things that I have to hold my nose and vote on it, so to speak. For me personally, you know, I'm a Christian, and I don't. If I were in a situation with a woman and unexpectedly she got pregnant, I would definitely not want to have an abortion. Absolutely not. I would not want that on me.
What if this woman right here? Yeah, but what if this woman right here, Kate Cox, 31-year-old, is going through this? What if that was your woman in this same situation? Would you?
Well, no, as I said, and I repeat that, if that were my wife or a lady that's been living with me or whatever, and we were faced with those circumstances, then I would urge her to have that abortion. I would, absolutely.
Okay. And how would you feel if you had to fight with your own party to this level? They went to the Supreme Court trying to force what would be your wife or your baby's mom to take this risk, even if it meant her life. Your party is fighting to do this to this woman.
I would fight tooth and nail for my wife to ensure that she is going to make it through this thing, and that I don't understand why things happen while they happen, but I would just simply pray that we would have an opportunity to try again, and we will be faced with these same kind of circumstances.
And would you continue voting for the same party that allowed it to happen in the first place?
At this particular point, yes, I would continue to vote for the same party. I don't, as I said, being moderate conservative, I don't always agree with everything in the party, but I do agree more with the Republican Party overall, politically, more so than the Democratic Party. So yes, in all honesty, I would still continue to vote for that. But in those kind of circumstances, I would stand up with those people and I would support them.
Okay. All right. I'm just, hopefully you and I, I'm beyond this age. Hopefully you're not in a situation where you would ever be in this either. But man, I don't even know what to say, but I do got to move it on, William. Appreciate you coming on. You're always welcome back.
Thanks for having me up, Tim.
Absolutely a pleasure. All right, looking in the comments, and I see Big Rooster said, asked if they go to the Supreme Court or the Texas Supreme Court. To be honest, I was so damn outraged about this. I didn't check if it was federal or state. What made me outraged is the fact that after the woman won the right to terminate what was a dangerous pregnancy, they continued fighting her. Now, I don't know if they went to the federal Supreme Court or if they did it to the Texas Supreme Court, but you gotta assume wherever the hell they can take it, they're gonna try. If for some reason there is another hierarchy, they're going to continue doing it. I think it's to the Texas Supreme Court, though. But either way, like I said, the woman that has a 95% chance of having either a stillborn baby or a baby that dies shortly after birth. She won the right to terminate that pregnancy in court, and they continue fighting to make her carry the baby to term. She was 20 weeks pregnant, so this is still a long pregnancy left. Knowing you're carrying a child that's not likely to make it, all of the changes to your body and things like that, all for nothing. You know it ahead of time. Somebody tell me how it comes across that Republicans at the very least don't give a damn about this woman. If you die, you die. That's where I'm hearing it when I see this. Am I getting it that wrong? Going back to the box. I don't understand it. Maybe some of you folks do. My ball shits. I don't understand it. I don't understand. It just looks cruel and inhumane. My ball shits. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Tim. How you doing?
Not good hearing this. Have you heard about this?
No, you're bringing it to light for me. So I read 2 pieces on it. One's from AOL, and I think the other was AP. Yeah, I'm conservative-ish.
Wait, let me just interrupt and say this, because that's what I'm looking for is conservatives. But because of the harshness of this, I do think some of you guys are starting to add the ish, because folks don't want to come in and say I'm full-blown MAGA or something to supporting this shit. But
no, I've been ish since long before 10.
Fair enough. So how do you feel about this ish?
Yeah, so for me, I think where you see a lot of conservatives say I'm ish is as soon as they get evangelical, we're like, what the fuck is going on here, man? You know, and I want to call it a strike both ways, right? I don't think anybody thinks that the people they vote for are 100% perfect, and there's going to be some give and take.
True.
And you know, I fall into the pro-choice category simply on the basis of I don't want you messing with me, I won't mess with you. I shouldn't have.
That's fair. Okay.
You know, and I mean, yeah, we get into that moral legal debate of like, well, we do protect, you know, people's rights from XYZ, but that's out neither here nor there conversation, right? And for this case right here, while on the surface, I go, what the fuck is going on in Texas, man? The other part of me has to say, but hold on, time out. Where's the, you know, pro-choice advocates who should be swooping this lady up, taking her to another state to...
Hang on a second. What the hell was that? I just want to point... I'll let you continue, but that took my breath away, put me on another planet. Who just sent that? Chris Reeds. I gotta acknowledge that. Thank you. I've never seen that before. Thank you. My bosses, take me back where we were before I got taken to an interstellar galaxy. So,
and my bad, I wasn't looking at the screen, so I didn't know that that's what you're. So, but for me, it's a, you know, she should be swooped up and have that abortion performed in another state where she can to protect her life, and then fight this in the courts. And for me, it falls down to that very same argument. You remember in that movie, A Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey?
Yes.
Samuel?
Yeah.
Remember when they told the NAACP lawyers, they were like, no, you want Carl Lee Henry to face the chair because XYZ, right?
Right.
And for me, I'm kind of thinking, hey, where's the people who want to protect her life, right, and help her get the abortion, and then just make this a paperwork issue and fight it in the courts?
I get your point, but I will say this. If they don't give a damn about this woman while she's going through this shit, if she goes to Illinois somewhere, which you gotta, or New Mexico, I think that's the closest state you can terminate a pregnancy. If she goes to New Mexico, has the pregnancy terminated, then comes back, if they don't give a damn about her while she is actually going through it and can lose her life, they really ain't gonna give a shit when she comes be as effective in this case.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, you asked the last caller what he would do if it was his spouse and stuff. Me personally, I would be saying the most important thing to do right here, right now, today is to preserve my wife's life. The next important thing is to fight the legal battle.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I understand it. I just think that, you know, like I said, if they fighting her while she could actually die, they're not. Once she survives, they're just going to, in my opinion, say, "See, you found a way out." But in the comments, Chris Reeds Tarot says, the issue is people abusing abortion. And do you see, I suppose, whatever that might be designated as abusing abortion, such as terminating the pregnancy just because you don't like the guy, or where there's no rape involved, no incest, nothing, but you just don't want to be pregnant at this time. I assume that's what folks mean by abusing. Do you think abusing abortion, for lack of a better term, is the reason they're coming up with a strict law like this?
Maybe yes and no, because it depends on the time frame, right? Because me personally, I don't care. If you slept with someone and it was just supposed to be casual and then it turned into a pregnancy and you're at whatever, because I don't pretend to know women's bodies and all that stuff, right? But, because there's that show, I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant, right?
Yeah, yeah, there is. Yeah, that's a good
Right?
point. That's a good point.
So I get all of that, right? But if you go, hey, 2-3 weeks in, you're like, oh, shoot, I'm pregnant. Just go have your abortion. And people are like, oh, you're abusing it, using it as contraception. I'm like, yeah, well, it's 2023. There's a lot of things I do with technology these days that they didn't do back then. Now, if you go at 4, 5, 6, 7 months and go, I've changed my mind, it's like, I don't know, man. You kind of had your window.
Yes, and I will say this: 7 months. I think that even a lot of liberals are not a fan of letting a woman terminate the pregnancy at 7 months. Your point is well taken, but yeah, I think even most liberals are willing to draw the line that far along where you got a viable preemie, basically. You got a viable birth. But in this case, she was 20 weeks. She was 20 weeks, and they knew the child is not viable. So what is 20 weeks? 3-4 months?
And then, sure. And what gets me though is, I thought that we were supposed to have sort of a nationwide understanding that this wouldn't fall into the category of abortion. This is the life of the mother. It falls under just regular ass healthcare.
Well, I'll interrupt you and say it is an abortion because you are terminating what is still alive inside of you, even though it's alive in a manner that is not. I mean, it's like having a vegetable in the in a intensive care where the person is a vegetable, they're brain dead, but they still have a heartbeat. They are technically still alive. So if you kill that individual, it's murder. It's the same thing with this person basically has a vegetable growing inside of them. So killing it is technically an abortion, but it's not viable by any stretch of the imagination.
Right, and I think I'm just gonna say, we both agree that it's the 5% of the extremes that get the microphone and represent everyone else. I would go as far as say 95% of conservatives are, in their pro-life stance would say, but hold on, if we're talking about life of the mother, then we are no longer talking about these, so-called abusive or elective or whatever abortions, and that needs to be an exception that's 50 statewide. Yeah. End of story. And when we see these people go, hold on now, it's a little sweet baby Jesus miracle happening there. Whatever happens will be God's will. That's when we go, well, hold the fuck on. Yeah. You can take your rattlesnakes and your ring of fire and get the fuck out of my fucking life.
You definitely are moderate. I do got to move it on. But yeah, I think the problem is you folks on the right, now you are moderate conservative, so I'm going to put you in that category. You're voting for people who are not exercising your will, which is why when they do put it to a vote to folks like yourself, you do talk sensible. Ohio, Montana, Kansas, you do vote against this draconian shit, but you're voting for people who are the ones about the angel baby in that example you just gave, that if you leave it up to them, they're going to prevent you from voting at all, and they're going to do things like what they're doing to 31-year-old Kate Cox, literally putting her life at risk. Appreciate you coming on, my bosses. Anytime.
Fair enough. Can I get one last word? That's a fair enough statement. But you know what? If Democrats were so damn perfect and everything that you voted for them was 100% representative of your issues, then why don't they win all the time, man?
I concede that point. Anytime. Come back.
Have a good day,
man. You too. And that's true. Listen, both sides of the aisle have their issues. I mean, there are 1 million immigrants that have come to this country over the period of Democratic rule, whether you're talking about Biden, Obama, or Clinton, and they've committed crimes. So Democrats are not perfect as well. That point is well taken. But we're going to run with this shit, as Cat Williams will say, this shit right here, this is awful. This is awful. Even President Trump, number 45, stated once Roe v. Wade was overturned, abortion is a loser. You're not going to convince women to be okay with this shit because you can give them $2 gas. There's just no way you're going to bring up Trump's economy and tell someone like Kate Cox, you're better off with me in office. So if they don't fix this, if there's not Republican outrage, then you got to assume folks on the right are okay with this. Because there are enough Democrats raising the bar and complaining about it. You think Fox News don't know about this? OAN, Newsmax, they're not aware this happened? Just because they're not telling it to their side of the aisle. We always talk about liberal media. We talk about the mainstream media being biased and not telling folks the truth. If right-wing media is not telling folks this is happening, I'm going to get a lot of callers like a couple of my last callers who said, I hadn't even heard about this shit. Because if you're watching right-wing media, they're deliberately not talking about it. It's awful because they know, OAN, Newsmax, Fox, they know their viewers are not even okay with this shit. But they don't tell them. They don't even let you know because they may get calls into the station from MAGA, traditional Republicans. Listen, I'm an evangelical, I'm a Christian, but I'm not trying to kill a mother-to-be over a fetus that is not viable at all. Going back to the box, if this doesn't outrage you, you lack humanity. I hate to really come at someone like this, but if this is not outrageous to you, but Chris Reed's Tarot suggested that it is abortion abuse that leads to these tough laws. So I'm curious to hear Chris Reed's, certainly appreciate your generosity, by the way, but I want to hear, do you support something that is this draconian? Chris, good morning. What say you?
Good morning, handsome, and it's always a pleasure to be on here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And you know what? Hey, I just want to say real quick before I go on to this topic, thank you again for everything that you do, for giving us, conservatives and MAGA people a voice.
It's a pleasure having you on.
I appreciate you for that.
It's a pleasure having you on. Thank you.
So my opinion on this, it's a tough one,
Let me interrupt you now. I understand you're MAGA. I want to read this to you. This is in the comment section, and you let me know how you feel, because this is obviously coming from someone on your side of the aisle. Why don't women keep their legs shut if they can't take responsibility? I am a woman in the comments. If you don't want to deal with what Kay Cox is going through, keep your damn legs shut. Somebody on the conservative side of the aisle. How do you feel about a statement like that? Now I'll let you continue with the rest of your comment.
So yes and no, right? If a woman knows what she's doing, right, then to me, you can control that. So I would agree with that. But at the same time, if this is a reason as to maybe a lady is losing her life, I am, again, pro-life, so that would mean the wife as well, So that's where I stand. Like, if it's 100% for the purpose of the wife and the wife only, then I will be, then get it done, But at the same time, real quick, same time, I am also the person who I don't like abortions for no reason, just because, I don't want to take responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have this baby. I don't want to take the responsibility. That's where I stand. Okay.
So as long as, basically, you're okay if the woman's life is in danger. What about if she's raped or incest? You okay with aborting that? Or, because that baby's going to be healthy, but it was forcibly put inside the woman.
So, again, this is a tough issue. Do I like that it happens?
That's tough.
All this happens.
you found that to be tough? She's been raped. You found that to be tough?
Let me explain why, though, right?
Sure.
I believe that everyone deserves the right to life, right?
Okay.
I understand, Steve, this is why it's tough. I don't like that happens. It's sad, right?
Understandable.
It's sad. I don't wish to even my worst enemies, but at the same time, I personally would not want that to happen, to my daughter. But at the same time, I believe that my daughter's baby would have the right to life.
So if it came down to a vote for you specifically, Chris, and you had to vote on whether a woman could terminate pregnancies in the case of rape and incest, you would say that the child has the right to life and she should not in case of rape or incest. Where the baby's going to be born healthy, you would say that baby should not be allowed to be terminated.
Honestly, I wouldn't say that it wouldn't be allowed to be terminated. I would believe that it is also the right of the right also of the person. But at the same time, I would also want my granddaughter, my grandson to live at the same time, because I wouldn't want to have that blessing.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I don't feel like I'm getting clarity. If it came down to a vote to either ban or allow abortions in cases of rape or incest, how would you vote? Would you vote in favor of being pro-life? Because a baby, even if a woman is raped, or if it's a victim of her father doing an incest, that still is likely to be a healthy child. Would you be in favor of allowing that rape victim or victim of incest to abort the kid, or would you err on the side of protecting life and say that she cannot have an abortion? How would you vote on that?
I would let it live. I would vote to let it live.
Okay, so you wouldn't. That's what I was trying to figure out. Okay, so you don't support the exception for rape and incest. You do support an exception for the life of the mother, but outside of that, you're having this baby basically.
Correct, and the reason why is because I personally cannot live. Personally, just me personally, I cannot be in good conscience and knowing that I terminated another human when they had the chance to live.
How do you feel about the mentality of the mother-to-be feeling a rapist baby kicking in her, wondering is it going to look like the guy that was on top of her, taking her innocence? How do you feel about the health, the mental health of that mom that has to go through that for the next 9 months because you banned the abortion?
So as a husband, or let's just say this happened for some reason to my wife, or as a husband or a father, right? What I would do is I would first try to go seek him help, right? Like go to a psychologist, see what I can do there, right? Because if they're having this mental issues now, they're gonna have the mental issues after.
Yeah, my guess is you may force them to have a child that they hate, especially if it looks like the guy that took their innocence. You're right; it could be a lifelong problem.
Right, exactly. So the thing is, it's like, why? Okay, so why? To me, I kind of feel like they would have had the problem before if they had not, because the thing is, if you know psychology, right? Psychology tells you that these mental health issues, depression, anxiety, etc., don't just pop up out of nowhere, right?
Well, if the woman is deeply depressed because you're making her carry a rapist baby, that's where it popped up from. It doesn't matter what she went through in the past. She's depressed because you're making her carry something that was forcibly put in her.
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't matter what she's been through in the past. This is about what's growing inside of her, sitting there wondering if it's going to look like the rapist when it comes out, and you won't let her get rid of this.
So at the same time, but I don't know. I can't have a good conscience. Just my opinion. I just can't have that good conscience, knowing that I terminated a baby like that. But you know what? Real quick before I get off, my guy, I just wanted to shed some light on a couple of things.
Sure. My
guy, and I just feel like the media is not covering this as well.
Okay.
Right.
Give me what you got.
If you look, I kind of feel like let's look at it some things that have not been talked to me. Okay. this has to do with Trump. And I kind of feel like what people don't talk about are the good things that he has done, right?
Okay.
If you look a lot into, like, let's just say right before he ran in 2016, he went on live TV, interviewed a woman who was of African American descent, and he gave her a job on the spot.
I've seen that. I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, when he didn't have to do that, right?
Well, I'll give you a few more seconds here, but keep in mind when we're giving Trump credit for giving a job to a black woman, you also got to factor in Biden gave a job to a black Supreme Court justice and a black female vice president. So I think Biden is handing out some jobs to black people too, right?
No, and you know what? Yeah, in a sense, but let me also.
Why you say in a sense? What do you mean by in a sense? I mean, is the Supreme Court justice not black?
No, I didn't mean it like that.
Okay, all right. I'll give you. Go ahead and keep going.
No, okay, and then let's look at the situation with Carrie Hilson, right? Did you hear about that?
I'm not quite aware of that.
Okay, so look it up. There's videos on it. Carrie Hilson, I believe 2 of her family members were murdered, and it got to the point where he actually housed them for a little while.
Oh, okay.
And that's not talked about.
Well, you know something, yeah, I'll just be clear, Cities. I say it on every broadcast. There are legitimate reasons to vote for President Trump. Even though I lean left, I don't think 100% of things about President Trump are bad. I just push back and say 100% of the things about Biden or Obama aren't bad either. You're right. The mainstream media and the liberal media are not going to give Trump accolades. Just like I pointed out, the right-wing media is not going to do the same thing for left-wingers. I don't disagree with what you're saying. There's a list of things you could go down that Trump has done good. Now, I could probably counter it with a whole bunch of bad shit people think he's done as well, but I'm not here to pretend like he hasn't done some good stuff.
Right, no, and you know what, see, and this is why I love your show, Handsome. This is why I love the voice that you give to us conservatives, and this is why I thank you again I feel like you're not a biased person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And then, last thing I want to point out, right? And this is, to me, is one of the biggest things. One of the biggest reasons why I support Trump is because what he has done for like the Middle East, etc. I have a lot of friends who are Middle Eastern as well, and I have a lot of them who are going to be supporting Trump simply because there were no wars, right?
Yeah.
That he brought the peace back. He was no nonsense when he went and he nuked all these people. That was to send a message. Hey, you do not mess with these people. You will not mess with your own citizens and get away with it.
All right, I do got to move it on, Chris, but what you're saying about not having a lot of global conflicts is something that a lot of folks do say under President Trump, because we didn't. We could argue whether it was his fault or not, but we were not having all of these conflicts under Trump. And a lot of folks do say exactly what you're saying, that they favored Trump because they didn't feel like World War III was imminent. But Chris, appreciate you coming on. Thank you for your generosity too, by the way. Anytime.
Of course.
Good conversation.
Have a good day.
Absolute. Looking in the comments, Trump doesn't want wars. Are you suggesting that Biden does? You think Biden wanted Hamas to go into Israel, wanted Putin to attack the Ukraine? I don't quite get that. The countries were scared of the red button. I don't believe that. You think the liberals it's impossible to have a liberal press the red button? The red button exists whether Trump is in office or not. But let me get back to the topic, because I want to know from you folks, particularly MAG, I'll go right back to the box, what the hell is going on where you can have a 31-year-old woman told by her doctors that the baby she's carrying, a 20-week-old is that a fetus at that point? 20 weeks along is not going to be viable. 95% chance the baby is going to either be dead at birth, stillbirth, or die soon after. Not only are you carrying a baby that's likely not to be viable, carrying it to term puts your future fertility at risk and your life. She fights the state of Texas to have a restraining order put on their strict abortion laws and wins in court. So a judge ruled that she could actually terminate this pregnancy. The Attorney General in Texas, Ken Paxton, made a hell of a lot of threats after she won the right to terminate her pregnancy, making it clear to all doctors, physicians, nurses in the area that our statute of limitations on violating abortion rights extend much longer than this judge's order, meaning that if you help this woman terminate this pregnancy, statute of limitations on murder never ends. We could come after you 10, 15 years from now and charge you with aborting that child. They took it to the Supreme Court, continued fighting her. And as of now, she has been halted from terminating this pregnancy with the Supreme Court overturning what the lower court did. How you folks that are on the right, I'm talking to my beloved MAGA particularly, but even Republicans, traditional Republicans, how do you respond to folks that would suggest stuff like this makes it appear as if Republicans do not care about women? She could die. She literally could die. And that is a medical testimony. She could actually lose her life. Going to the box, because I don't understand it. I want to hear from you folks. I just simply do not understand this. Chris, blessed dad. I'm really interested in hearing from some conservatives because I don't get it. Who supports this? Now, I did have someone in the comments saying if women do not want to find themselves in this situation, keep their legs closed. Saw a few other people in the comments agreeing with that. That comes across as brutally harsh. Because she opened up her legs, if she dies, she dies? Is that the motto coming from the right? It sounds cruel to me, but maybe we'll see what you guys think. I don't know what's going on with the box. We'll keep it moving for a minute. I do appreciate that cup of Java Ginger. Good seeing you back on. I don't know what's going on with the box. Thank you, Ginger, by the way. That is messed up. William Denby, yeah, it is messed up. But there are folks who are saying that. Either you be sexually responsible, use protection, practice abstinence, or if you get pregnant and something go wrong, you should have thought about that before having sex unprotected. Because we are Christians. We support the sanctity of life. If God takes your life in childbirth, then damn it, that is what God's will was. We're going to defend that with the courts. What happened to separation of church and state? Where the hell does it say in the Texas Constitution that this is a Christian state and we're going to rule based on what God would do? Are we losing our way, folks? Are we losing our way? When folks suggest big government is bad and we should go to states' rights, understand that there are some states, namely the biggest one in the lower 48, the Lone Star State, that might do shit like this. Is this what you pictured when you started rooting for states' rights? And I'll go back to the box, but I will say this as someone that leans kind of left. This is one of the primary reasons why I, yours truly, am not a fan of states' rights. Not just what's going on with Kate Cox and this abortion shit, but fact is, even though it's called states' rights, anytime you hear someone promoting states' rights, it's generally in favor of the state taking away somebody's right to do something. States' rights has a horrible history of oppressing people and taking away people's rights. You don't hear too many people outside of the Second Amendment argument suggesting that let's give the states the rights and it's about giving people more freedoms. It's almost always that state should have the right to do this and it involves taking the freedom from somebody. It's almost always that way. Certain states don't want a person to be free to do this or free to do that. And if you give people states' rights, it's about losing freedom. It's not about gaining freedom. But I see in the comments, Tim the Patriot, love the name, suggests that what I just stated is a lie. Give me some examples where states' rights is not being yelled out in favor of taking people's rights away. It's usually, I want the right not to serve these people. I want the right to stop that from happening. That's what states' rights, in my opinion, is about. But you say I'm wrong? Okay, fair enough. All right, going back to the box. Let's try it with the one and only Moo, the Tuxedo Cat. Republicans are always about states' rights because they're racist. Yikes. You think that's the only reason? Yikes. Moo, good morning. Moo, are you with me? Okay, either my box or my caller's not. The Republicans really don't care about women, says JP Farr. I don't want to pretend like I think Republicans don't care about women. There are a lot of female conservatives. I get them on the program all the time. I'm hoping that that's a ridiculous statement. But what's going on right here does make a viable argument that, at least in the case of a pregnancy where the mom's life is on the line, no, we don't care. We care about saving the life of the unborn. We don't care what may happen to you in the process. As one of my viewers stated, if you didn't want to have a baby, you should have kept your legs closed. This is a draconian environment, folks. This is some hard shit. This is some real hard shit. We'll keep it going. I tried with Miss Julie. I wouldn't mind hearing from a female. I would love to hear from a conservative female, particularly one that supports this. Miss Julie, are you any of what I just stated? A conservative female that may support this? Miss Julie, can you hear me? I don't know if I'm having audio troubles. Oh, hang on a second. I think I know what the hell's going on. All right, Miss Julie, can you hear me?
Okay.
There we go.
Can you hear me, handsome?
Yeah, my phone kicked in the Bluetooth, so I got a device around here somewhere that was getting all the damn audio from you folks. All right, so what do you think? How do you feel about this?
Okay. Yeah, I'm not offering any opinion today, sir. I'm not a conservative. But I did want to add, this woman has 2 children already. She had to have cesarean sections for both of them. Now, I've heard people say in the comments, why did she wait so late? This genetic testing for trisomy 18 couldn't be performed until 20 weeks when an amniocentesis is done. That was the point that she found out about the chromosomal defect that the fetus has. That chromosomal defect will result in microcephaly, a tiny head and a tiny brain. The eyes will only open as slits. They're widely set apart and abnormally small. The ears are lowered and abnormally small. The feet are webbed. The arms and hands are curled up to the body. The chances that the fetus would survive childbirth, which in this woman's case would be in a 3rd cesarean section, cutting through all that skin and muscle, cutting the uterus open again, and for not being able to have a live birth. And even if the woman did go through the birth, the chance that that child could survive more than a few hours is extremely dismal. With trisomy 18, the organs also develop on the outside of the body. Organs and intestines. This is not compatible with life.
Oh my God.
She wants to have a big family. She wants to have more children. But to go through this pregnancy and to go through another C-section and to have a VBAC, which is vaginal birth after cesarean, is highly unlikely with most women. But if she's already had to have 2 and would have to have a 3rd, and then to hope to have even more children,
Oh my God!
I'm
I
not
didn't.
going to question the reason that Republicans want to outlaw abortion, but I will say that if they would consider their reason for it, would this situation fall in line with what they're trying to achieve, being that the women wants to have more children and won't be able to?
I just say
That's what I
this.
wanted to bring up.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Appreciate you coming through. You're always welcome back, Miss Julie. I'll move.
Having me up.
Absolutely, and I will say this to, and I do appreciate what Miss Julie said. And there was another comment in the comment section I wanted to respond. It came in while Miss Julie was stating that from another female that said, "People who don't know," Julie just stated very eloquently how this whole ailment works, and I didn't know all of that. I mean, she just said a lot that I didn't even know, and I do believe that the primary have to go through. It's awful. It's awful to have, and I see somebody else in the comments, well, why isn't it all over the media? Well, it will be. To some degree, it is very new. I mean, the Supreme Court ruling, I think, is less than 24 hours old. She just won the right to terminate the pregnancy, yesterday or the day before? And the state of Texas is continuing to fight against her. So now they had it overturned, and now it's been temporarily halted. Her right to abort what for the most part is a vegetable growing inside of her. It won't be a viable child. In jail. I don't see any way to look at this and suggest that Republicans that know about this and are not outraged, and you don't have to be in Texas to speak out against this shit. You're not in all of these areas, Chicago, that speak out about what's going on in Chicago. You can talk about this shit no matter where the hell you live. Even if it's not in the country, it looks awful. You don't need to be in Texas to talk about how horrible this is. And by the way, it's not just happening in Texas. States that are banning abortion have politicians that are in favor of this stuff. In some cases, laws on the books that are promoting the same thing in other red states. It's not just happening in Texas. But you don't need to be in Texas to speak out about this. People are talking about CRT being taught in schools, and they're living in Alabama where they don't have to worry about it. You can speak out about this any damn where. Going back to the box. Like I said, you should be outraged about this. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, you should be outraged about this. Jai Premu, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. I hope the box is working. I tried to bring on Moo and a couple other folks. It didn't work. Allie Phillips in Tennessee is now running for election. Okay. All right. Jai, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hey.
How we doing?
Terrible hearing this news. Are you aware about this? Are you aware of this?
Yes, I am, and I follow it closely. Let me say this first, because I don't want to get into your call about anything.
Sure.
A crawfish is a crawfish, nor could it ever be a shrimp, nor is it going to grow to be a lobster.
Point
what
taken.
happens here is the Roe versus Wade. Texas is a conservative state, and it was about the quality of life.
Okay.
The people that would be arguing the pro-life would be a student in the 1970s in sex education, and their parents would be influential to the Texas landscape of conservatism. What you and I have to look at in our approach, whether we're MAGA, whether we're pro-Trump or not, rhetoric from Trump reversed and caused the judicial branch to reverse Roe versus Wade. And in that was the last law that they had not abolished that affected one of the class lesser than the conservative of Texas.
But I'll let you continue, but let me ask you this. Do you think Trump, and when we're speculating here because we don't know, he hasn't spoken, do you think Trump supports something as draconian as this? I get that you're...
Well, I said his rhetoric changed Roe versus Wade.
Right.
So a New York conservative versus a Texas conservative, Trump is the most popular conservative, a moderate conservative right now, if you say Republican Party.
Okay.
Be respectful to the politicians, everybody. The small percentage of a fifth of the American society are not all conservative, but they might be pro-life. And so what me and you need to look at is this. Any law that restricts you state level, it's opposing what the national government is doing, like the abolishment of. So remember, fetal abortion versus capital punishment of the father in matters like this cannot be legalized.
Right.
We know that a fetus at 20 weeks, 23 weeks, it's a risk at the child and the fetal. But at the mother, she should have full determination in adulthood.
So, but let me bring it back a little bit. I just want to ask you, why do you think Trump, because we don't know if he favors this or not. You mentioned him being more of a moderate New York conservative. Why don't you think he is speaking out about this, though?
No. Remember, because what did he campaign on? He's going to change the political landscape of America, and that includes Texas, Ohio conservatives that were from the 70s, who's now bringing about legislation for restriction for their political view, like it appeals to their, constituent. So you're going to hear the Roe versus Wade. You're going to hear the conservative. This is a medical issue. And what you and I need to astutely do, even in this conversation, is the women that's involved in this, it should not be publicly domained. It's a medical issue. It should be private. They need to go into the First Amendment, into the Fifth Amendment, and destroy the political agenda about abortion.
Yeah.
Because I'll say this, I'm pro-life. To the determinant of all of my children, I'm pro-life. But to situations, exceptions to laws, there's no exception to law, but to the social construct of a mother deciding to abort for her health, well, then health should win out.
Yeah, appreciate that. But let me ask you this, though. Would you support a politician like these ones in Texas? You're pro-life. Are you a conservative?
I'm very much a conservative, and like I said, I came out of a term where it was about the quality of life. So all this corruption and let me say this first, all this rhetoric that we're hearing at the political agenda, it's the meaning, the characteristic of the politician, whether it's a female or a male.
Yeah, but what you're saying is fairly complicated to the simple. I'm a simple man. I just want to ask this: how do you respond? Wait, hold on a second. How do you respond to folks who suggest that stuff like this shows that your side of the aisle do not care about women? How do you respond to that?
Well, women equality has not moved since 1938 voting rights. That's the last thing of women equality. Anything else, the woman has to take full authority of their medical presence. So I can't be a judge and decide what you do with your body. I don't even need to hear the social construct of how it got there. Whether you were raised or a parental.
Yeah, Jai, I think you're overcomplicating the issue. I think what you're saying sounds very complicated to the average voter. Go ahead.
It doesn't offend me in my judicial responsibility, because here's the point. If they had not abolished slavery, do you think I still would not have been a free black? So it's about equality of life. I was a free black when they were still trying not to abolish.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but when I mention how do you respond to folks, viewing this as Republican? Hang on a second. When I ask how do you feel about Republicans being viewed as not caring about women, I think your response for most voters is overly complicated. You're pointing to, is where it's in the courts, is this and
no. Women rights have not, listen to my argument. Women rights have not moved forward since 1933, voting rights. In this instance, it should surely be medical. And the doctors who's getting threats from politicians are constituents in different areas.
They're getting threats from Republican, but they're getting threats from Republican politicians, not Democrat politicians. This is coming from your party, it's not everybody.
When Trump got the nomination to be the Republican, what were you thinking the Republicans were saying? They're trying to change the political agenda amongst the conservative viewers. That's in the Republican.
Maybe they're saying they don't care about women that are pregnant.
No, they're not. You know what they're saying? We're losing our edge on our bias approach to white middle-aged men.
You're talking about replacement. You're talking about replacement theory.
They're being replaced. They're politically being replaced with new generation. Their children is not even there to support them anymore.
So what are you saying, that white people feel that they're being replaced, so they're going to use women's bodies as incubators to do something about it?
The moral argument, you can lose a job for telling us without disclosing on your application in the state of Texas. So it's the moral, and it's losing ground.
All right.
It's not, diversity is taking over, sir.
And you are a conservative. You are on that side of the aisle, right?
I am a conservative.
Okay.
I haven't let no one tell me I'm a moderate conservative, because in my direct job, I can't use it in the political view. But my actual academia, the conservative point is about equality of life. I don't want to argue with no one. I'm not going to move to Ohio. I'm not going to escape and go to Illinois. If I got in a situation like this with my daughter, my consent would be there. Give me the opportunity to parent that child.
What if the child was going to die and your daughter's life was in danger?
But that's medical. Listen to this. That's medical, and I would not be on here talking to you, sir, to respect your view and to respect my family.
Okay.
But I had, to all of my children, I was pro-life, okay? And all right, and I had a similar situation like that.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah. What you to me, it sounds overly complicated. But Jai, I do got to move it on. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Well, let's keep it at the strength of the scholar. I appreciate your program, and you know when I tune in, I'm gonna be very fair, because the rhetoric of Roe versus Wade has been defeated.
Yep, that is true. Anytime, come on back. All right, appreciate you folks tuning in. Unfortunately, I gotta terminate the live. I do got some duties to do around the house. I'm outraged. I will be back on later. I'm not freaking outraged about this. Hopefully, cooler heads can prevail and we can figure out a way around this shit. But this woman is dealing with this up to the Supreme Court. Liberals need to scream this to the heavens, and folks on the right who are reasonable in their mindsets needs to join. If you are on the right and you want Trump 2024, you want the economy, you want global issues back under control the way you felt they were, you can't let this shit prevail. This is not helping folks on the right. Talking about my beloved MAGA. This is not helping you out. And you're hearing it from a guy who tends to lean left. Do something about this. This is not going to help you out. But a woman that could die being forced to carry the child no matter what. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Catch you guys later. Appreciate you folks tuning in on YouTube. As you see, I got my shorty in the back. I got to go. See y'all later. Damn, I got 11,000 times.